ნინა ჩვენი საავადმყოფოს საუკეთესო სპეციალისტია. ათასობით ქალი ემშებია. მაგრამ ჩვენ როდესაც პრობლემა გვაქვს ხოლმე მშობიარობის დროს პირველ რიგში ნინას ვეძახი.
So my film April is about this gynecologist Nina in the rural Georgia who performs illegal abortions outside of the hospital for the women who need it and who cannot obtain abortions otherwise because I can give a bit of background because in Georgia it is legal, but it's up to the hospital to decide if they want to do it or not. And I guess in 95% of the hospitals, they just don't provide abortions. And so the film is about this woman who goes from house to house and who helps women.
ესე უცებ ბავშვი როგორ მოკვდა. სოფლებში რო დადიხარ ამორდებს ვიცი.
The idea, like when I was working on my first feature, because this is my second one, Beginning, I was doing casting for children and I called all the children in the villages. I wanted them to come in so we would meet them and they were invited to come in with their parents. And mostly it was mothers or grandmothers and I could see how these women were like, you know, enjoying their day at the casting because for them it was like a day off from their regular life. And I started to talk to them and then gradually they started to tell me what their daily lives are made of. And then when we picked children to be in the film, because there are many children in my first film, they would come to the shooting days with their mothers again, and there was just like a separate table for them with also children's food, and I was like making sure that I would have lunch with them, so I could also like communicate with mothers. And film started to come to me in a way in this process because these women were just talking to me what bothered them or what they were concerned about.
Nina.
Well, for me, I guess, like, doesn't matter where you make film. I mean, at least I, as a director, in a way, because cinema is very personal. It's not autobiographical, maybe fully, but it's always personal. And this is the place where I grew up, where my family lives till now. Of course, like, for me, it was very important to capture you know, the daily life and specifics of this life because, and then like that's why maybe it's also universal in a way because I guess for me cinema is also about what connects us as humans and maybe it needs to be more and more about that. Like I started to become maybe very thoughtful about this lately since I also became a mother myself. I think a lot about what connects us as humans. But I guess it was always my instinct in making films.
პროფესიის გარდა არაფერი მოქვს დასაკარგე. არავის არ უნდა აბორტის გაკეთება. მაგრამ ვიღაცას მაინც მოუწევს რომ გააკეთოს.
I love Kiarostami. I guess everybody knows that until now because I love Persian poetry and Kiarostami and Farrukhzad and like, you know, it was like a huge inspiration for me when I studied actually in the university and but I also like love cinema in general. I love Dreyer, I love Tarkovsky, Bergman and also many very contemporary directors. So I'm very influenced by cinema itself because I think that for the contemporary director it's difficult to be not influenced by anything because we're surrounded by images and there is very accessible, you know, you can watch films every day and of course like, you know, I am like not just a cinephile but an image junkie of some sort at the same time, you know. I look at things all the time.
ამჟამად მარტო სადმე დაწახვით. გადავარდები სადმე.
I'm never conscious about any theories, but then feminism is not a theory for me, but it's also for me the way also of life somehow, because I grew up in a family made of women. I have 2 sisters, grandmother, mother, aunt, it's too many women around me, and maybe there were very few men when I was growing up. And I guess like my mother was 16 when she got pregnant with me, and my grandmother was a huge help she raised me, but I could also witness my mother becoming a woman, because I remember her turning 25. So I don't know, like, can I be not a feminist after these experiences? I don't think so, because I'm profoundly drawn into the female experiences and the world of women, which I think, like, I'm very committed to be making films about women, by the way. I've been discussing this with my husband this morning, that I was like, maybe people are like saying that, oh, you should just make films about men. But I'm just so fascinated by daily lives and small things and ordinary things. And those things happen to be somehow part of female experiences. I don't know why. Maybe we need to think about that.